So we're now moving on to phase three. We move on to phase three when we're sure that children are secure on their phase two sounds, can use them in their reading and their writing, and we're ready to move on to the next stage. One of the biggest differences between phase two and phase three is the introduction of digraphs and trigraphs. Children learn these two words. They might sound like tricky words to understand, but they soon pick it up. A digraph is two letters that go together to make one sound, and a trigraph is three letters that go together to make one sound. As we move on to the sound map, you'll see some real life examples of these. So here we have the phase three sound mat, very similar to the phase two sound mat. The sounds is in order again of the order in which we teach them, starting off with the last few single letter sounds at the top, moving on to our first digraphs, the two letters that go together to make one sound, and in there as well are the trigraphs I in the middle, and then as we get to the end there's and U and ear as well. So a little bit trickier to learn and remember are our digraphs and trigraphs. Children will often need a little bit of support pointing these out in reading books where they're not clearly signposted, clearly labelled as digraphs. Use this sound mat in the same way you've used your phase two sound mat. Refer to it when they're reading and when they're writing. These sounds, phase two and phase three sounds, are all the sounds in our English language. That means that when they know their phase two and phase three sounds, they can have a go at phonetically writing any word in our language. Phonetically writing means writing it out the way it sounds rather than correctly spelled. Our language being the way it is makes it very, very complicated, and they need to learn all the different spelling rules, which they will do as they move into year one and year two. But in reception, these are the sounds we use. Children might start to learn how things are spelt as they become better readers, but by the end of reception, we want them to be making phonetically plausible attempts at words. So using these sounds is perfect for any word that they want to have a go at writing, regardless of whether or not it's spelt correctly. Here we have an example of some words using digraphs and with sound buttons. Now these words here, as you can see, have got the digraphs underlined. So these are a great resource for when children are just learning the digraphs. They're there, they're underlined, they know that they're looking at a digraph. You can even go to the digraph first when you're reading these words. So you can go to the word and say, oh look, I can see a digraph. What is it? It's the sound. So now let's have a go at sounding the word out. Bath. You can see as well that the sound buttons only go under each sound, not each letter. So the digraph only has one button underneath it. So when you're pressing it, it's only making that one sound that the digraph makes. Here we have the phase three tricky words. Just like in phase two, we have tricky words that the children just need to learn what they look like and eventually as well how to write them themselves. These you can't use your phonics and you just need to know them. So here we have the phase three tricky words. We will teach these, I'll begin teaching them after Christmas now, and we'll have one or two per week that we're learning alongside our sounds for that week. You will have a copy of this at home. There's absolutely no problem in whizzing ahead with it, using it as part of your reading routine. Have a look at your tricky words together. Even if I've not got round to teaching them in class yet, that's absolutely no problem. Also, as you start to get reading books that are matched to phase three, they might start to have some of these tricky words in. So if it's not one they've been taught in school, but you know it's on this mat, just tell them that's one of your tricky words. Here it is on the mat. And as I'm sure you're learning from their phase two tricky word recognition, they do just start to pick it up. They do start to recognise them. They need to be able to read these words before they can have a go at writing them. Again, if you think your child's ready to have a go at writing and you want to do games and things like that with them at home, that would be fantastic. So as children become more confident with their sounds, more confident in forming letters, they will just start to do more and more writing as they see the purpose in it. They hopefully feel confident about giving it a go. I know some children are at that stage already, but they still do have quite a limited knowledge of sounds. As we move through phase 3, there are a lot more sounds they're going to be able to have a go at. So this is my favourite part of teaching children to read and write, is when they start having a go at phonetically plausible attempts at words. So what we mean by phonetically plausible is words are not going to be spelt correctly all the time, but what they will be is correct according to that child's phonic knowledge. So I'm going to show you some real life examples now of ones I've seen in the past, just to help you understand that a little bit more. So when your child says to you, "Mummy, Daddy, how do I write the word unicorn?" What you're not going to do is write it out correctly spelled on a piece of paper and get them to copy it. What you're also not going to do is spell it out for them to write the sounds ick, like that. What you're going to do is ask them to chop the sound up, or do it with them for a longer word like unicorn. They might need a little bit of support. Chop it up. Can you chop it up? Let's chop it up together. Ick, or n. Right, what's the first sound you heard? Ooh. Now, ooh is a digraph. An o and off make the ooh sound. U, n, I, k, or. The or sound is on the phase 3 mat as an O and an R, which in this case is correct for this word. Unicorn. Unicorn. It's not spelt correctly, but it's absolutely perfect for the child's phonics level. Another lovely example I've seen in the past is diary. D-I, which they learn as the trigraph, E, and at the end. So it's not spelt correctly, and we almost have to learn another language when we try and decipher what children have written. But their phonetically plausible attempts are really lovely to see when they start doing it. Another example might be toy, oi, and they learn the oi sound as an o and an I. Girl, which they learn as a u and a all. So these words are not spelt correctly, but they are phonetically plausible attempts, and in reception, this is exactly what we want to see. By the end of the reception, children are expected to have a go writing words with phonetically plausible attempts. Nowhere does it say that words should be spelt correctly. The only words we want to be spelt correctly are those tricky words. Phase 2 and phase 3 tricky words the children should know how to spell correctly. Apart from that, there is no spelling rules needed. So there we have a quick fly through of phase 3 and what's coming up in phonics. As always, don't hesitate to get in touch if anything didn't make sense. If you've got any questions on anything, pop me an email or grab me at school when you can. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found that useful.